This is the Madison County Mayoral Candidates Forum, brought to you by E+ Broadband and Jackson Energy Authority. Candidates for county mayor discuss important issues for Madison County.
Welcome to Decision 2026, our forum featuring the three candidates for the GOP nomination for Madison County Mayor. Steve Bowers welcoming you to this forum on E+ TV6 and HD 206. This forum also streams at eplusTV6.com. Also, this forum will be posted on the YouTube channel of E+ TV6 so that you can see it at any time. We have a media panel today composed of Sarah Best of the Jackson Sun and Brandon Shields of the Jackson Post. These are the two subscription news publications that serve Jackson and Madison County. The three candidates with us today that are seeking the GOP nomination are Madison County businessman Sam Bryant, Madison County businessman and current County Commissioner Andy Hall, and the current Madison County Mayor A.J. Massey. There is another candidate for County Mayor, that is friend Cherry Miller, who is running as an independent. The three men in the studio today are seeking the GOP nomination. That goes on the ballot May 5th for the May 5th primary. Advanced voting starts April the 15th. Friend Cherry Miller, as an independent, will be on the county general election ballot in August 6th, along with the winner of the May 5th Republican primary. Our objective is to have a similar forum on E+ TV6 prior to that August 6th county general election to feature those candidates. We begin our forum with the opening question. That comes from Brandon Shields.
Thank you, Steve. First off, thanks to JEA for hosting this, and thank all three of y'all for, one, just stepping up to even wanting to lead. And then second of all, for coming here for this. And I guess we'll start with the first question for the incumbent Mayor Massey. Just kind of recap the last 4 years real quick, and just kind of what you feel like you've accomplished in the last 4 years. And then we'll just kind of let that lead into from the two challengers why y'all decided to run as well. So, Mayor Massey, take it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Steve. Appreciate y'all for having us, E+ for hosting the event. I think it's important for the voters to hear directly from elected officials and potential elected officials. So we want to do that. So I appreciate that. You know, coming into office 4 years ago, we knew we had to be agile. We knew we had a lot of things that were going to be happening over the next 4 years that we as a county needed to be prepared for. I was fortunate to come in under previous administrations that were highly conservative financially. It was very difficult to work with a budget that's in flux, and that wasn't the case. We walked in with a very steady budget, running a surplus budget, and so essentially, you know, we wanted that to continue. And so we've seen that delivering to taxpayers a return on their investment, a return on their trust. We've been under budget every year for the last 4 years, about $4.5 million per year. That's money that was budgeted, promised to county department heads. They gave it back, or a portion of it back, at the end of the year because of efficiencies that they ran throughout the year. And so that speaks to our department heads and the way that they run things and the way that we run the entire county operation. I committed to running and helping quality of life issues in Madison County. We've made unprecedented investments in our county park system, nearly $2 million of investment over the last 4 years. New parking lots, new ballpark fields, actually 2 new parks with playgrounds, and continuing discussions on how to expand to make families have options and opportunities in Madison County. We wanted to support our school system, which we've done. I don't believe the county commission and the mayor's office has said no to anything that the school board has asked for. We've fully funded them every year. We've given them the capital needs that they've asked for, pretty much, and making sure that we supply them with what they need, because honestly, they're returning the result. So we've seen a lot of improvement in our school system over the last 4 years. We invested in our public safety. We've given the right equipment and investment in our EMA and in our sheriff and our fire department. And also, you know, the county commission, through the sheriff's department with some state help, was able to fund 32 school resource officers for every one of our public schools. And I can tell you, as a dad with a child in a public school, and my wife is in that public school a few days a week, it makes me feel really good to have someone who's trained to deal with children and then outside threats in that building every day. So if the unthinkable were to happen, we at least have a plan and we have a fighting chance in those things. So once again, we promised fiscal responsibility. We promised mature leadership. We've developed and brought in industry that wasn't here previous to the tune of about $1.7 billion of industrial investment and over 2,400 jobs that we've been able to add. Those industry have been able to add. I don't make jobs. The industry has been able to add. And so we've paved the way by representing the county well and selling it well. So we're looking forward to another 4 years to continue the investments we made, to continue the relationships that I've worked really hard to build in Nashville and in D.C., and those are hard to build. And so stopping now and restarting is a difficult thing to do. And so I think it makes sense to continue that. And we want to see these through to completion. Job's not done yet.
All right, Mr. Bryant, I'll give you a couple minutes, kind of talk about why you're running.
I'm going to try to put it as clearly as I can. I care about this community very much. I have a deep set of business skills in several different industries. I think I can do an excellent job of recruiting businesses to come to this town. But one of the main reasons I'm running, I've talked to too many people in this community. They're seeing their lifestyles and the difficulty of living daily life get less affordable all the time. We have to address some of these issues here locally, and I think I have the skill set to do that. And I think we're going to have some very hard economic times coming ahead of us. There's a lot of factors in the overall economy that are going to start affecting this community, and we've got to be aware of that, and we've got to get ahead of them. We've got to do some preventative things that may help mitigate some of those issues that are out there. We're going to have massive changes in the workforce over the next 4 years, and I think the next 4 years for this county and this area are going to be very critical, probably more so than maybe even the last 10, 20 years are. There's going to be a lot of changes to this economy, and I think I have the right skill set to deal with that.
All right. Commissioner Hall?
Yes, and I too want to thank y'all for having this forum, especially JEA. We're very blessed to have JEA in Jackson, Tennessee. They do a great job. The great thing about being a county commissioner is I get to make all the decisions. I'm the only candidate on this panel that's running for office for mayor, and I have made those hard decisions for the last 3.5 years, and I look forward to continue that working with the county commissioners. I have the relationships with the county commissioners. Everything that the mayor has said is pretty much spot on. I agree with a lot of what he said. A lot of those things have happened. But however, I have made those decisions to make that happen. And that's why I feel my relationship building skills are what I'm bringing to the county. I have been in business in Jackson, Madison County for over 50 years. And my job is building relationships. And that's what I've done. And I will continue to do that as we move forward.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Our next question is from Sarah Best, and it will be directed to Sam Bryant.
Thank you, Steve. Good to be here. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Mr. Bryant, as far as roads, in the aftermath of Winter Storm Fern, there was a lot of citizen perception about city, county, state responsibilities in terms of clearing roads. How would you plan to improve communication with citizens and focus on more of a proactive approach rather than a reactive one?
The first thing I'd like to do as far as the roads go, and of course I have to get approval from the county commission to do this, would be to talk to the local farmers, the local trucking companies, and have a plan in place. So if we have a winter storm that's going to be a level 7 out of 10, whatever that level is adjusted to, we can have a group of people we can call up and say, hey, we can activate y'all, get you out on the roads, get you clearing roads to make sure we maintain the main roads. We've learned from this lesson that we can't count on TDOT. They're going to take care of I-40, and we can anticipate that in another big storm like that in the future. So we need to have a system in place with the people that have the equipment already so the county doesn't spend a bunch of money on equipment, have an hourly rate set ahead of time, have both county commissioners from the area that the people are working in sign off on their hours so there's not a way to cheat the system, and be able to activate those people when we need them and without having to have a huge amount of money out there, and have a budget set aside for that when we have a big emergency like that. We can't afford to have all the equipment or buy all the equipment to do it because it may not happen again for 20 years, but it may happen next year again, and we can't be shut down like that again. We dodged a major bullet by not having the power line damage that like Nashville had. If that had happened here and our roads had been in condition where we would have had serious issues.
Commissioner Hall?
Yeah, you know, that was a very devastating time. I know that the temperatures were so low, and it was very unusual. You know, we have I believe we have a very good superintendent, Bart Walls, who does a great job for Madison County, and I think we talked about that. We had a discussion about that, and of course it would take more equipment. And I believe if we start bringing in the farmers and private contractors, then we have a liability issue with that, something we have to be very careful of. So, you know, that's a learning. That was a huge learning process, and I think we can look down the road. We can plan for those events, but again, it may not ever happen again, and we just continue to do the best we can when those situations happen.
Well, it's no secret that was a controversial time in Madison County, and it was frankly an opportunity for us to figure out what went wrong and fix it on the fly. You know, the Massey family was stuck at home too, and I understand the the emotion kind of hit its peak around that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday area when I was too at home with two boys and ready to pull my hair out. And so you know, dealing with that and being able to get out in the community and figure out where we missed the mark. And frankly, you know, our response as a county was no different than it's really ever been in the past. We have a kind of MO that we operate by, and we executed on that. What we didn't know is that TDOT changed their response, and I'll take the blame for that. You know, they haven't changed that response in over 25 years. They did, and so shame on me for assuming that something that's happened for 25 years would happen the 26th. But next time I'll make sure and triple check to make sure that they are going to address our other state routes throughout the county and not stop at the Chester County-Madison line or some of the other counties out there. They did prioritize I-40. I think that they need to do that, but I think they also need to make sure that the rest of our county roads are addressed. So that's number one. Number two, the week after the event, I called a meeting with our city leadership, the county leadership, and TDOT representation. We actually had the West Tennessee director, and we poked holes in the entire situation and figured out what happened. I will tell you, TDOT admitted quite a bit of fault and communication and activity in that space. We also talked about what can happen going forward, and just like these gentlemen have said, it doesn't make financial sense, in my opinion, to spend a lot of money for a once every 20 to 30 year event. However, we can do some things different. And so here's one example. I know now how many gallons of brine it will take to pre-treat all of our county roads, about 80,000 gallons. It doesn't make financial sense to build a brine manufacturing facility and keep salt water on tap all winter long. TDOT has it on tap up at mile marker 130 something up there. They have about 800,000 gallons they keep at that facility. So I've talked with Superintendent Walls, our highway superintendent, about what it would cost to buy some brine spreaders. It's quite a bit less than full equipment, but we can buy a couple of those. They attach to the back of a truck, and we can go up there and buy brine from TDOT and spread it on our roads really within hours of the event happening and beginning to happen, and we can be out ahead of that. Also, the 2 weeks following the event, I was face-to-face with the TDOT director, new TDOT director. He started last summer, so he got a good welcome into his new job. But I was able to tell him of the issues in Madison County and West Tennessee and share some stories from some other counties of the impact that their change in method happened. So once again, we know we weren't perfect, but we'll take that and we'll improve going forward. And I think you'll see a marked difference in the county response next go-around.
Related question before we move on to the next topic, just about roads in general. Y'all been campaigning since last fall. Two of you have been in public office for, at least at the county level, for 4 years now. What are y'all hearing from the citizens as far as wanting to see just general improvement in the road surfaces and stuff like that? Because we hear a lot about it in the city. Is there similar talk like that among the voters, the people that you're talking to in the county, wanting to see better roads outside Jackson city limits?
Yeah, everybody wants better roads. I mean, we all do. If you look at I believe if you look at our roads, we're not the worst. We might not be the best, but we have a great plan. Again, BART, Walls. We have software that we use to rate the roads. We've got that came in about a year after I think when I became a commissioner, and BART purchased some software. And what that does is it goes through all the roads, rates them. So we kind of have a plan. We can build a plan of how to serve those roads and maintain those roads. And yeah, there's some that are worse than others. And that's, I've heard radio interviews and everybody get on one topic, but when the callers call in, they're all wanting to know about the roads. So the roads are a big issue, and we just have to continue to work close with BART and find ways to improve. And we want to get better. We want to do things better. Madison County is in a good place. We're in good shape, and so work together as a team and just continue to do what we're doing.
I talked to Bart, the road commission too, and they're plan they've got in place as far as how efficiently they do work orders and everything is great, but it takes just money to fix roads, and that's what you'd have to throw more money at it to get better roads. And they're doing a great job, I think, as far as how they're planning things out. But there's certain issues with certain roads that weren't put in properly when they were first installed, and they don't have a good base under them, and they have to do a lot more repairs on that. So I get a lot of complaints from some people in certain areas about the roads in their area because they're always having issues because they weren't done properly, and it costs more to go back in and fix them after the fact. You've got to remove what's there and put down a new base, and that takes time and money, and it comes down to money is what it boils down to.
Mayor?
Well, you know, both these gentlemen are right. Everybody wants better roads. I can tell you one thing I've learned in this office the last 4 years, everybody's own road is the most important road in Madison County, and it's also the worst road, consequently. I hear that often. I live on the worst road in the county. Well, we have 700 miles of roads, and I haven't driven every 700, and I doubt those citizens have either. But at the same time, I realize that's a quality of life issue. And you know, my job as county mayor, I believe, is to make you forget that my office exists. If I do my job well and you don't know who I am, that's a good thing. That means life is going well. But when you hit that pothole outside of your neighborhood, you're thinking of me. You're thinking of your county commissioner. You're thinking of who the road superintendent is. You're thinking of us. And so when we finally do get that call or that reach out or that work request, it's at a higher level because you've been thinking about it for days and days and days. It's our first interaction with it. So that's first. But we have invested in our county roads the last 4 years. We've last year alone nearly $12 million investment in our county roads. That's nearly double what we've ever done in the past. We repaved Riverside Drive, Ashport Road, Christmasville Road, some of the main arterial roads throughout the county that we know are impactful. Now, that's not all the roads, but I do think we have a proactive plan, as Mr. Bryant mentioned. We do have software. We have the ability to grade our roads, and so we have a strategic plan. But once again, 700 miles of roads, and so we will get to you. It just it takes funding, but it takes proactive planning. And so, you know, some things that people don't realize that we have to maintain and take care of is just not the surface, but that pipeline going under the road. We got to address that. If that's not addressed and that fails, that's a safety issue, and it's obviously a quality of life issue. And so there's lots of things around the roads. Commissioner Walls has been excellent to work with to address these issues quickly. I can tell you twice now since I've been in office, I've gotten a call about an issue, and I've reached out to him, and he said, I'll get on it. And then I've gotten a call back within hours from the citizens going, man, y'all are on it. They're already here doing it. And so, you know, that Bart doesn't always do that. He's not always able to. But I think that shows that you call the mayor's office, you're going to get heard, and you're going to be passed along, and you're going to be followed up on. And Superintendent Walls sees that as an opportunity to serve our citizens as well.
Can I make one more comment about that?
Yeah, then we'll move on.
Just for example, we replaced a road recently, about 2 miles of it, and it cost about $2 million just to pull that road up. Like Sam said, you know, the base of that road, there's a lot of roads that just have a bad base. And so to completely pull it up, replace it, it's about $1 million a mile. So that's what we're dealing with. And when you have obviously 700 miles, you're not going to replace 700 miles of road. But some of those roads probably need that. But again, it's something you have to build up to and prepare for.
I will say this, there was one county in West Tennessee that borrowed about $70 million in blacktop asphalt every single one of their county roads. I'm not a proponent of that, but I guess that's an option.
Okay. Comment, Sam, you have another comment?
I'll fight the urge to ask if you were about to propose that.
No,
Go ahead.
Now, point of order here, was that your question? Do we go to Sarah? I'm coming back to you.
No, we're about to move to the next
question.
topic there.
Our next question then is from Brandon Shields. It'll be directed to Andy Hall.
All right, so business recruitment is possibly the biggest, or at least the most time-consuming part of the job as county mayor. What do the next 4 years look like in your vision for, particularly at this point in history for Madison County with everything that we're on the verge of, presumably? What does the next 4 years look like in business recruitment and being part of Team Madison County?
Well, you know, Team Madison County does an incredible job at that. Obviously, I think a big part of that would be corporations developing opportunities to train people. And, you know, workforce development is definitely critical. How do we get people to come to Madison County? I think we give them more opportunities. And that's a corporate level deal, small business deal. How do we get them here? We're Hub City. We are the main attraction for all the counties around us. We have a lot of people coming in now. As far as the creation of that, again, working with these companies, you know, of all sizes, coming in, seeing what they need, how can we help, and help promote that idea. So that's something that I will look heavily into if I get the opportunity to be the mayor of Madison County, that is something I will do, is create relationships with these companies and just find ways to create that to draw more people into Madison County, and try to find ways to incentivize these companies to help create that opportunity.
I agree completely with my opponent. Team Madison County does do a great job. Team Madison County is made up, of course, of our city leadership, our county leadership, Jackson Energy Authority, our healthcare system, the chamber, and our school system. And we partner together to sell our county throughout the world. And when I say throughout the world, I mean that literally. Able to recruit and hopefully announce soon an Australian company to be in Madison County. They're very, very close to kind of completing that process. We had Project SAM, which was a $240 million investment. We broke ground on Georgia Pacific 1 month into office when I was there. And so there's been tremendous growth, most of which I've been involved with. Some I was able to ride the wave coming into office. But that's something that honestly is probably the favorite part of my job, is selling our county, because it's a joy to talk about what we have to offer. And we've had tremendous success. You know, it's not just promises, it's what we've delivered. $1.742 billion of industrial investment announcements or expansion in the county since I took office. And so I think the expansions speak more to me about the culture and the reputation we have. If a current business wants to add on to their business here and add jobs, what more of a vote of confidence? We have 7 Japanese industry. Japan does not put industry in places they don't feel comfortable, and we have 7 of them. And so we've shown that we can cater and we can help those industry be successful. We provide them workforce as well. We've seen tremendous job creation from those industries. Like I said earlier, 2,400 jobs created over the last 4 years from those industries. And so we are excited about Madison County. I will say this as well. We've had a lot of interest in the battery space, of course, with Blue Oval being near us. We've had a lot of interest in that space, and so there's talk of maybe Madison County being branded as the Bible Belt the battery belt of the industrial world. And so much so, I mentioned that to Senator Marsha Blackburn, and she has co-opted it. So you'll hear her say in the media, West Tennessee and Tennessee in general needs to be the battery belt of the U.S. And so that's what I want to see as well. Smart people, if they are invested in the future of our energy space, we want them to locate in West Tennessee. And so we're knocking down barriers for that to happen, and not just, once again, not just what we think is going to happen, what's happening, and that momentum will absolutely continue.
Mr. Bryant.
I think they're right about bringing in new businesses. We've got to do that. It's going to be incredibly critical, because I think we're going to see a contracting job market in some ways because of AI coming out. That's coming. We can't forget the small businesses here. They employ a lot of people, and it's great to look at the big companies out there and bringing them in, but we can't forget the little guys here. They make a big difference, and oftentimes the state doesn't offer them subsidies, doesn't offer them help, but they make a difference. We've got to remember that. As far as recruiting businesses here, I've got a great skill set for that, because I've worked in so many different industries and I understand them well. I think I can sit down with anybody who's wanting to bring a company here and have a real conversation with them and understand what they're doing more than most people can, just because of my engineering background and some other things that I've had experience with. But bringing in new companies is going to be incredibly critical over the next 4 years, 10 years, or just how far you want to go out. We've got to keep this region alive, and we've got to keep everybody employed.
Our next question is from Sarah Best, and it's directed to A.J. Massey.
Mayor Massey, you and several other elected officials serve on the Madison County Children's Cabinet, started about 2 years ago to prioritize child well-being. While those meetings are closed to the public, can you give a little bit of an inside look as to what those efforts entail in improving child care for Madison County families? And for Mr. Hall and Mr. Bryant, what would your efforts look like to expand child care?
Sure. Well, coming into office, we looked at some rankings statewide on where we sat for child well-being, and Madison County was very low on that list, and that was shocking to me, disappointing for me, who's raising a family here, to know that we were so low on the state rankings. And so coming into office, that was a priority of mine. Once again, I understand the commission is doing their job on the day-to-day, not the day-to-day, but the weekly and monthly meetings and taking votes. But what can I do day-to-day in my office when I'm there all the time? And so one thing that I talked about was let's put a strategic plan around this. And that's where the Madison County Children's Cabinet came in. That is Mayor Conger and Superintendent King and I partnered on that, and we started that. We We invited about 33 different individuals from all across West Tennessee. We chose them based on their job, not who they are. So it's nonpartisan, non-political. For example, we have our police chief, our sheriff, our library director, our parks and recreation director, hospital leadership, school leadership, of course. Anybody that is involved with children in their day-to-day nonprofit work, in their day-to-day work, we want them at the table. And two things we do at every single one of those meetings, since you said they're not open to the public, and we do that on purpose as well. We want to get down to work. We don't want any posturing. So two things we do. Number one, I pray for us to give us direction and hopefully some guidance. And the second thing I say out loud is we are going to talk about solutions in here. We're not going to sit around and just talk about how bad it is. And so primarily, one of the first things that came out was childcare. And so going back to the industrial recruitment for just a second, we had Project Sam in town from Australia, and they want to locate here. And they ask us, if we locate here, what's a problem we can help you solve? Well, Mayor Conger and I were sitting shoulder to shoulder, and we both had just talked about this child care issue in Madison County. Back in 2010, there were over 80 child care providers in Madison County. Now there's about 11. It's a need. And so we both kind of had this moment where we just said the same thing. We said, well, our child care gap. And so Project Sam, who hasn't located in Madison County yet, has not agreed to put a facility in Madison County, sent us $260,000 to seed a child care facility in Madison County. Now, your government's not going to run it. I don't want to run. I love my children, but I don't want to take care of hundreds of others. We're not going to run it as a county, but we can help facilitate a private practice to come in and open up child care slots. We're thinking in our industrial park area, we're thinking 24 hours a day. So that third shift can drop off their child and they know they're fed, they're going to sleep well, they're going to be taken care of, going to be educated even while they go for third shift work. And so it removes that barrier for a single dad or mom that now they can actually choose that job. And so our industry is very excited about it. They're ready to invest in it because it's a hurdle that they've seen over and over with people leaving when they have children or leaving because of child care issues. And so Madison County, that's one of 5 initiatives Madison County Children's Cabinet has taken on. That's just the one that kind of caught traction early on. And of course, we're working hard to close the gap on the others.
I think one of the numbers AJ mentioned there was there were 80 child care businesses here. Now there are 11. First thing we need to do is find out why they've dropped off so much. I've talked to plenty of people that have an extremely hard time filing child care. There's a waiting list. It could be the businesses are overregulated. There could be a lot of other factors going there, but we got to dig to the bottom of that because we've got to find out why these businesses aren't opening, what's making them close. We got to have capacity because capacity is going to give us childcare. I mean, that's basically boils down to an affordable price. You know, when there's not much capacity, prices are going to be very high, and that's what we're seeing right now. We've got to expand the supply of childcare, and we got to figure out what's holding that back and do it in a safe way to take care of the kids, of course. But we got to get some of the regulations out of the way that may not be as important as we think they are, and that's the best solution to it.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. That's something that I would be highly focused on as mayor, and I do think that with things changing like they are, and everybody's trying to adjust to get employees back to work because of their children. I know it's very difficult. I feel like that corporations, small businesses, it's almost like an incentive for them to create some source of child care, option in their business too. I think, a few years back, I've heard other corporations talking about it, and it is regulation. I know a lot of that is the problem. So I think we're just moving forward on this, and we're making some strides, and that's just something that I would be highly involved with as we move forward if I become the mayor of Madison County.
Can I have one more thing on that? Sam was absolutely correct. Theoretically, there's a lot of reasons why those facilities have closed over the last 20 to 30 years. And some of it is regulation, a lot of it's workforce, a lot of it is just difficulty running that type of operation and people's desire to do that. But I don't want to guess, I want to know. And so part of that $260,000, we've already put about half of that to work to fund a study of our child care issue. So we have a child care study going on right now. We're probably about halfway through it, results coming soon, that will tell us what our child care gap is, why those facilities have closed, how we can help as a government or the state or federal level remove those barriers to get them back open, and how we can seed new ones to come in. And so, yeah, I have my theories as well, but we're going to know something because of this investment that this industry, once again, hasn't yet committed to Madison County, but they already sent us money to solve a problem.
If I could ask a follow-up question on the topic. Speaking about regulation, and you even said, trying to do something about the regulation. I mean, all the regulations, I assume, are at the federal and state levels. I mean, any ideas there about how to kind of approach the subject with our state representatives to try to bring change with the other 98 representatives in the State House. Go ahead.
Do just that. Approach the state representatives, approach the Senate or the state Senate, approach the federal side of things too. Get the county commission to get behind writing letters or signing off on letters that say, hey, we need to reduce these regulations because these regulations are hurting businesses here and they're reducing the supply of childcare. And if they don't serve a purpose. And there's a lot of overlap in a lot of these industries. I know just from some of the local charities that deal with children, some of the regulation they've got, because there's so many layers of it. It's not that they mind being regulated, it's that they have to go through, 3 or 4 different levels of doing the same thing with different people. It takes up, some of them, it takes up half the director's time to just go through all those hoops instead of just going through one set of hoops. A lot of that can be streamlined, and that would be one of the biggest things I think that would help a lot of industries across the board, not just childcare. But continue on, gentlemen.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing too. We need to be careful as a county with these private businesses that do have to, that get up every day and go and deal with this. We want to protect them too. I'm all for looking, at other options and how can we make this better, and I'll get behind it 100%. But definitely with the protection, like the mayor said, there would be no government money involved. It would be, especially with these private owners, you got to protect these private owners that are already paying the tax that it takes to run these daycare centers.
Yeah, and not just what we plan to do, what I'm doing currently. The representation in Nashville and D.C., we communicate regularly. I have regular calls, especially with our federal level folks, but talk with Representative Todd, Senator Jackson, and our other representation throughout Madison County, whoever that may be in the next iteration. We've already begun to build relationships there, and so those are things that I get asked every session. AJ, what are your top 3 priorities? And sometimes it ebbs and flows. I can tell you that every year that I've been in office, bridging the child care gap in Madison County has been on that list. And it's really been focused around workforce, and so there were some other pieces of that involved. But I've said we have to increase opportunities for workers in Madison County. That means programs in our high schools. That means programs in our technical college. That means the new Workforce Development Center out at Jackson State's campus, and that means child care opportunities. That means locations. That means infrastructure. All the things that industry needs to recruit good people. My job is to sell Madison County, and so any way that I can get the state legislature to help me do that, that's what I do.
Any other comments? Our next question is from Brandon Shields. It'll be directed to Sam Bryant.
Mr. Bryant, the county commission funds the school system, and they have their superintendent and their own board who oversees the running of that school system. What is your plan for the next 4 years to work with the school system and to ensure that as you're trying to bring businesses into Madison County, that the school systems are putting out a properly trained workforce that's ready to go into those factories or small businesses or whatever, ready to do their daily work of their day-to-day business?
We have an education crisis in this county right now. Very recently, the 13% of the kids could read at grade level. Now it's up to 26%. Now the people that are currently running the school board and Dr. King are doing a great job trying to bring those numbers up. But there is no greater mission we have than to get our kids up to where they need to be. That's key, most important thing we can do. Because the implications of having those numbers continue over the next 10 years are just detrimental. We can't produce workers that can understand what they need to do and are trainable and productive. We're going to have some very serious issues recruiting businesses in this area. And on that same note, it's like we've got to help the small businesses too. We can't forget about them because from my experience, some of the best employees I ever had are ones that grew up with families with small businesses because they learned the work ethic from day one. And they're up at 10 or 12 milking the dairy cows, whatever it is the business does. That's what builds a lot of that character and workforce development. And that's one thing our kids today are missing is the responsibility at an early age. And we need to figure out a system with the education system that helps nurture that and helps them to solve problems. When I was in the tree business, one of my foremen, he grew up working on a dairy farm. And he would get up at 4 a.m., start milking cows, go to school, come back home and work another 3 or 4 hours. but I have never met a man with a better work ethic than him. And he grew up in a situation where he had to figure out how to fix whatever it was. He could work on anything mechanically, weld, everything else, because he had to learn to do it because that was survival for them. And in some ways, that environment created the person he was. It wasn't an easy life, but it created a very solid human being as far as his ethics and his ability to perform. We've got to figure out a school system to do that, because we can't have everybody go through 18 years of school and they're on an iPad the whole time and then magically send them to some learning center and all of a sudden break out this great technician that just works great. You've got to start young and you've got to start consistently. And they've got to be given real-world problems to solve that matter.
Commissioner Hall?
Yeah, I mean, when I went to school, it was shop class. It was, you know, all different types of hands-on. Of course, it was a different day back then. And but I think communication is just the key. You just have to get in. That's what I would plan to do as mayor. Would just get in, communicate, develop bonds, create a bond with the school board. Dr. King, I think they, like Sam says, I think we're improving. We are improving. The proficiency level is coming up, slow, and that's going to take some time. That is a task, and I think everybody understands that. So, but the bottom line is just building bonds with the board, Dr. King, and whatever groups he puts together to try to get better in the school system. But I applaud them for what they're doing, and I mean, I'm behind them 100%.
Well, I guess different than the other two gentlemen behind the table here, I've been on the school board. I was elected to the school board in 2018 and served through 2022. So I've quite literally been on that side of the table and in those chairs. And of course, I was on the board when Dr. King came in. And so we had a working relationship coming into office. And when I first was elected, he came by and we talked about our next 4 years together. And first of all, that was very fun for me to have a conversation with the superintendent who was committing to be here for the next 4 years. That was an exciting conversation. But he asked me at the end of that meeting, he said, Mayor, what do you want from me? And I said, I don't understand. He said, if you could ask anything of me, what would you want? And I think what he wanted was maybe a pet project or a part of town that I wanted to pay attention to. And I said, Superintendent, I don't really function like that. I said, I'll tell you what, keep them safe and teach them. You do those two things, my job as your mayor comes exponentially easier. And so I'm proud to say that he's done that. Once again, partnering with the county, we have SROs in our schools. We have a security plan for each of our campuses. We built a new Pope Elementary, which while I was on the board when we asked the county to fund that $48 million project. That's one of the most proud moments of my life was finally the school board asked the county to fund a new school. And they agreed, the county commission agreed to $48 million, the largest school that we asked for. We gave them 3 options. They picked the biggest one and said, will that help you? And it did. And so $48 million building is up. It's nearly full in Northwest Madison County, so very proud of that. But we've been able to see some of those things. And so once again, we've got to make sure that we're ready. And so I know there's ongoing conversation within the county, and Commissioner Hall knows this as well, about where future buildings and facilities may need to go. I would caution, we don't need to be making that decision as a county. The school system needs to come to us and say, we want a new school in X part of the county. We have some ideas, Commissioner Hall probably does as well, on where we think that might be next go around. But right now we're making financial decisions and earmarking money to get ready for that next ask. Because you're right, we do fund the school system, we don't run it. We fund a portion of it, but we can be there for capital needs that impact children. Buildings don't teach children, but teachers do, and buildings do matter because it matters with reputation. And I think Pope Elementary is a prime example. When the old school closed, it was around 700 students. There's nearly 1,100 at the new Pope. And so it's not just because of space. It's because of reputation and what's happening inside that building and how it's kind of filtering out into the community. So continue that. Once again, super close with the school board members, super close with Superintendent King, and he and I are servants together, and I want to continue that.
Mr. Bryant.
I did want to say one other thing we could do to improve the school system is start listening to the teachers. My mom was a teacher for years, and I saw how great the school system could operate when it was run well, and I also saw the effects when it wasn't. So that is the most important thing we could do is listen to what they have to say. They're on the front lines and hear them, listen to the students. And I think we can make some big strides in just doing that.
Anything else? Our next question is from Sarah Best, and it's directed to Andy Hall.
Commissioner Hall, while we're seeing a reduction in major crimes in the Jackson-Madison County area, juvenile crime is on the rise and is a hot topic of conversation. While still supporting law enforcement, how would you combat juvenile crime specifically, maybe aside from the juvenile justice complex that's being built? How would you continue to support law enforcement while paying specific attention to juvenile crime?
Well, let me just say that, thank you for the question, that we have a sheriff that runs an incredible department. He runs his budget very well. He funds, like the mayor mentioned, SROs. He funded that out of his budget. Continue to support the sheriff's department. I mean, that's what we have to do. Again, it's getting in meetings, finding out how we make these things better. The Juvenile Justice Center that we're talking about, you know, we're in the process right now of looking at options on how we're going to get this built. We definitely need that. A lot of things laying on the table right now. But we definitely just need to keep working closely with the sheriff and, again, funding them best way as possible, because it is a big problem. It's not going away. We have a lot of other issues we need to deal with, and it's just a matter of, you know, building the bond, creating a plan to cover these issues and make sure we're taking care of to keep this county safe.
So absolutely, there's opportunity for improvement in that space. And two things I know what I do well and I know what I don't do well. I'm not a law enforcement expert, and so we're gonna lean on the folks that we've hired and that the taxpayers have voted in to do that job. And so Sheriff Weiser is going to lead the charge in that, and how we lower crime. That's their space. TJ King, our juvenile services director, works directly for the mayor, and he's a big part of that too. And so it's not a prevention of crime, but it's an issue for me right now of meeting a need where essentially West Tennessee counties are breaking the law in how we house a juvenile, and it perpetuates the problem. And so right now in West Tennessee, there's 11 juvenile beds for children that are arrested and can't go back home for some reason. There's a mental health issue, or a violence issue. They can't be sent back home until trial. They have to be held. And right now we have 11 beds for all 20 counties in West Tennessee. Shelby County does not take out-of-county transfers. So every county sends them to Jackson or Dyersburg. We have 8 beds in Madison County, or they have to send them to Murfreesboro, or they're having the children sleep on a cot in the courtroom, or they're renting a motel room with a couple of deputies to house them. That's not right, it's not fair, and it perpetuates the issue. These kids maybe have made the biggest mistake of their life, and now we're throwing them away until they go to trial. That's not right. When we can build and fund and help with the state help, build what we've proposed is a 48-bed juvenile detention facility that will serve all of West Tennessee. It'll be a regional facility, and all of these counties, these juvenile court judges, instead of making the hard choice of to send this child home or not, or send them to Middle Tennessee or not, they can send them to a safe, secure practice and an ability in Jackson that we will build that has wraparound services, mental health services, family services, so that if we have them for 7 days or 7 months, they're well educated, they're well fed, they're well taken care of. Mom and dad, grandma and grandpa know where they are, can come visit in a safe environment. And so that's my plan for that building, is once we get it funded and going, we'll design it in a way that serves the whole child, so that if we do have the worst decision of that child's life happen, we're not perpetuating and adding to that on the county level.
I wrote a book back in 2008, basically, that looked at economic trends and how you can predict crime from that. There is a big component in our crime level and our taxation system and our the inflation credit deficit spending. It's a 90% correlation. I've got the equations in the book where you can predict that. We've got to start asking ourselves, why do we need a juvenile detention center in the first place? These kids don't have hope. They don't see a future for themselves, and that's why we have a lot of these crime issues. They see selling drugs or something like that as their only way to get ahead. We've got to build a society that shows people there's a way to get ahead, there's a way to do things legitimately and to have good outcomes. And I think if you could do that, we would see a big difference and be aware of what's actually causing the crime. It's not random. It didn't just happen in a vacuum. It's very predictable. And you can do a lot to prevent it. You can do a lot to arrest people. But if we could stop it before it happens, I think we'd be a lot better off. And that's a bigger issue than the county level. That's state, federal, that goes all the way up the food chain. And there's a lot of economic issues that you have to deal with there. But we got to start asking ourselves, why do we have these problems? 25 years ago, we had a few juvenile people, and you're always going to have a few, but it's nothing like it is now. And we've got to start asking hard questions that make us look at what we're doing and why we are having these problems today.
I'd like to respond to that.
Yes, sir.
another issue, and the mayor's done a really good job on this, and I applaud him for that. Something we have to take into consideration strongly is how we're going to fund it afterwards. We're spending. My understanding is right now we're spending about $7,000 a month on each juvenile. My numbers may be skewed a little bit, but when you bring in a 48, 45 bed center, you've got to fund that. And so we have to find the money to do that as well. So if we get the building paid for, that'd be great. But we still have to pay attention to how we're going to run it, how we're going to fund it, and that would be a lot of collaboration with a lot of people. So, and just want to point that out.
Yeah, on that topic, you're exactly right. Right now, it's for our 8 beds, it's about $1.2 million a year to run those 8 beds. So do the math. You go up to 48 beds, we're looking at over $6 million that we're going to need to ongoing do. Now, we're hopeful, and I'm optimistic that we're going to have state help. There is $10 million in Governor Lee's budget for this facility. I met with Governor Lee in November of last year and walked out of his office essentially with a $10 million check, which I was thrilled about. But we still have a gap of about $59 million to get this facility built. And so we're still working with our legislature to find some ways to maybe find that money within the budget before it gets passed next or the middle of this month. And so I'm optimistic we're going to be funded better at a state level because it really is a regional issue. But as Commissioner Hall said, we're going to have an exponential cost to the county. So we've been talking about that. I think there's opportunities for us to do that. These outside counties do pay the county that they send the juveniles to. So they're going to pay us. It's a daily rate as it stands now. And so there's some offsetting costs in that as well. But just to answer your question or your comment, $1.2 million to run our current department with 8 beds.
Anything else? Our next question is from Brandon Shields. It'll be directed to A.J. Massey.
Mayor, in your opening statement, you earlier at the top of the show, you mentioned parks and the expansion of parks in the county over the last 4 years. I guess maybe looking at that, but also at the broader picture of just quality of life in Madison County. How important is that in the next 4 years for you, and any kind of vision for park expansion or trying to recruit anybody in that can add some quality of life aspects to Madison County?
Well, great question. It's really constantly on my mind. Having a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old, we are in that stage of life where having something to do and safe things to participate in is highly important. My 7-year-old was at the ball field last night while I was at a campaign event, and he's on those fields. That's why I know that those fields are in better shape than they've ever been in, because my feet have been on them the last few weeks. And we consistently visit our other parks. We have parks in the county that people in the public, frankly, probably don't even know exist. And that's a shame, because we have some great parks. And so, but parks isn't the only thing that we can talk about. We can talk about programming. We can talk about options and things to do throughout the county. And for example, it's a small thing, but Pewborn Park, there's plans. I saw the design 2 days ago of a splash pad at Pewborn Park. I mean, that's a small thing, but I'm telling you what, on a hot July afternoon, I'm excited to go take the boys out there and just get cool and hang out with some other families in a safe environment that's healthy for everybody in the community. And so those are things that the county can do to attract families. Now, there's other things, greenways, everything. I know the city kind of does the pickleball thing. We've leaned into our tennis courts. We're taking care of the tennis community. But things like that just, when you're on a Saturday morning, that's my job as dad at the Massey house. On Friday night, Dad decides what we're doing that weekend. I'm the planner. And so, Dad, what are we doing? Well, we're going to go to the zoo, or we're going to do this. We have this tomorrow, and then we're going to go play over here. And so I want to expand those options. Great Wolf Lodge is a hot button issue, but it is tipping over the finish line as we speak. And so that's a tremendous opportunity. It will be the most state-of-the-art facility they've ever built, over 400 hotel rooms, $420 million hotel that will cater to all of West Tennessee, but it'll be right here in our backyard. And so things like that add, obviously, to our tax base, obviously to our households, but it adds to quality of life so that people want to live, work, worship, and raise families here.
I was an arborist by trade when I worked for about 12 years, so I was a tree doctor. So I like the parks. I like the outdoor spaces. Those are incredibly important. But I'm going to talk more on the quality of life side of things. We don't measure that here very well. We're not looking at what the average debt level people have is, what their stress level is, how do they feel about their future, how easy it is for them to live their lives. And we need to start doing that on a local level so we can know where we're really at. Because it's great to have public spaces out there, but if you're stressed out because you can't pay your bills, that doesn't help you that much. It may be a place you can kind of escape things for a little while, but we need to really start looking at what's happening with the individuals living in this community and what is their real quality of life. Like, where are they at? Are they getting ahead? Are they falling behind? It's like I've talked to 25-year-olds that never think they're going to be able to buy a house. And they may legitimately be right because they can't save up fast enough to buy houses. We've had the housing prices here go up 50 to 100% in the last 4 to 5 years. That has real effects for real people. You can see that downtown by the number of homeless people that are out there on the street. We've got to start asking ourselves the hard questions. It's not just about having great public spaces that are pretty. It's about what is the quality of life of people that live here.
Commissioner Hall.
Yeah, I think the parks are, that's, part 4 of the top 4, I believe. Matthew Martin's done a really good job. He's been on the job for 2 or 3 years. I can't remember exactly when he came in. My children grew up playing ball all over Madison County. Quality of life, top priority, one of my top priorities. We have, with a hub city, we want to find ways to draw people in. I'm a small business owner, have been. The quality of life, it's hard. It's hard for everybody. It's not easy. I have a daughter that has 4 jobs, not because she has to have that to survive, but she does it because she's driven. She works hard. A lot of people, some people have to have jobs, more than one job to pay their bills, and we understand that. But that's a private issue, So our parks are, just a part of that, and we, as far as they're free. You get to go out there. I think the county has done a really good job. And again, I want to thank Matthew Martin for that. He's working hard, trying to find ways to improve it. And plus he has to go through 2 boards to get things accomplished. So I think we're going in the right direction there too. I would love to see more improvement there. And I think we're on the right track.
Anything else?
I was going to say, they are opening a new park in Denmark here. It's going to be, the opening for that's going to be sometime in April, so keep a lookout for that if anybody wants to come to that.
We're crunching time here a little bit. Let's get a brief answer. Sarah Best to Sam Bryant.
Mr. Bryant, in May of 2025, at least that's when it was announced, Madison County surpassed 100,000 residents. What does mitigating healthy population growth look like for you while also keeping what makes Madison County special?
As I said, I spoke about affordable housing. We've got to address that issue. We have lots more people move here. That's going to push the cost of housing up, and the people that live here and work here won't be able to afford to live here and work here. We've got to do everything we can within the scope of what the building codes have to be to make it easy to build here. Maybe that's having pre-approved plans for houses, that everything's designed in them to where it's super easy to work on things. The cost of owning the house over the long term is very low because the repairs are minimal or they're very easy to accomplish if they need to be done. There's a lot of things on the planning side we can do. Like right now, you go and you buy a permit to build a house, and that's going to be a long-term asset for this county. They're going to make X number of dollars off that every year you own that house. I think we can look at seeing if we can afford to do a little preemptive work to make it easier to build here and make the system work better and communicate to people better. And we run to certain restrictions because we're a county over 50,000 people with the state. There may be some things we can work around or work within to make it easier to build. But right now, like a lot of contractors don't want to work in Madison County because it's just more difficult. Not that they don't want to do work. I don't do good work. It's just more, there's more to have to deal with paperwork-wise here, and we need to do everything we can to make it easy to build here. There's companies like QB, which is a company that actually makes factories that makes homes, and we could attract something like that here. That would be fantastic, but we have to increase supply to get the cost down, and that's really going to help us expand the county. If we don't have the housing to put people in, we can't expand, and that's what it's going to take.
Yeah, 100,000 plus, that probably puts us in a different, as far as, I don't know if it puts us in a different tax level or that's sort of new for us right now. And I'm sure that as we grow, we'll find more opportunities for grants possibly. It might change the whole structure on how we receive grants. That's just something I'm not real familiar with at this point. Again, it becomes a private issue versus public, or what is the county? What do folks expect the county to do, but I think we just continue to grow with the revenue that we get. We can find new ways to increase revenue without putting the burden on homeowners and business owners. And so again, that's sort of a new plateau for us. It's something we're going to have to adjust to. But again, the infrastructure is important. We need to maintain the infrastructure we have and make it good and better, and focus on what we've got here in Jackson, Madison County, and grow from that. Just pay attention to where we are right now and make these things better.
We're pushing the clock here, Mayor.
Sure, yeah, I'll go quickly. I apologize, public, if I talk fast. First of all, yes, you're right. We announced that in May of 2025. That number was actually from July of 2024. So we hit 100,000 in July of 2024. So now we're nearly 2 years past that point, growing at an average of 1.5% to 2% a year. That's between 2,000 and 3,000 residents a year. So it is exciting, and it brings a lot of what I like, which is indexing revenue, those tax dollars that go up as prices go up, which prevents us from touching your taxes, which is something we never want to do. And those new households, those new houses and rooftops give us new revenue as well, and so it prevents us from having to raise taxes, which is obviously something we don't want to do. We are currently right now rewriting our building and codes from the ground up to make it easier to develop in Madison County. Mr. Bryant's right. People are frustrated. Now, a lot of them don't understand that maybe they can develop in an outside county because they're not under the same restrictions that we are, but let's make it practical. Let's insert as much practicality to get people to build here. And I can tell you like this, there are two things that happen when you get 100,000. You have tremendous impact on your emergency services and on your infrastructure. So we have to make a plan for that and understand that that's coming. We have to make sure that people grow on our terms. We don't want multifamily housing all over the county. A lot of our communities don't want any new housing. And so we need to work with those communities that they get to set the rules. And the other thing that happens, fun fact, when the census happens in 2030 and we are above 100,000, we by state statute have to pay our county commissioners $2,000 a month. That's a pretty big budgetary impact with 25 commissioners. So in 2030, that decision is going to have to be made on what that looks like.
I'd like to get a closing comment from each, if you will. It needs to be inside 60 seconds, starting with you, Mayor, and then we'll go to Sam and then Dan.
I appreciate, once again, the time here. We're excited and proud of what's happened the last 4 years. I'm part of a team. Just like that front office representative at the Atlanta Braves wins a ring, if the team wins, same thing with us. Every single person in Madison County gets to be prideful and be excited about what's happened, no matter who made the decision. And so we've shown proven success. I think it's foolish to change at this point. We've shown the ability to make decisions that impact 20 years from now, not just 2 months from now, which is, I think, a new thing in our county. And so that's when you get with me, I'm going to have to give account to what this community looks like 20, hopefully 30 years from now if I'm still around. I want a community that my sons want to stay in. And so how do I do that? I remove all obstacles, all barriers that make them want to move somewhere else. And so we have to give them all the things they need: safety, better schools, better infrastructure, quality of life, so they raise their families. I want my grandkids down the street.
I would sincerely appreciate the chance to be your next mayor in Madison County. I think I can make a huge difference here, because what we do is going to matter so much more in the next few years. We've got to stay focused on what's truly important. And the main job of the mayor of Madison County, as I see it, is to make sure you get a return on your investment in this community. And I think that's one thing that may be missing. It's about you spend your tax dollars and your life should get better for it. We need to have the best school system money can buy, and we need to make sure every dollar we spend in this area for roads or whatever else is spent well and spent wisely. And I believe I can sincerely do that for this county.
Yeah, I want to thank you again for having us here today. And, I've served on the county commission. I've made the hard decisions. I'm the only candidate that has been on the commission. It takes 13 votes to get anything accomplished. And you have to have a relationship with the commission. And so I want to move forward too. I want to be sitting in that chair and creating a great environment for people to come, focus on what we have here in Madison County, grow from that, make things better by working with the people that are in the offices that make those things happen. Give credit to where these people are, give credit where credit is due, and just continue to build a bond. And I've been here my entire life. I grew up here. I was educated here. And I'm very grateful, and I love Madison County. My children are still here. So I look forward to serving as your county mayor if I get that opportunity. And I really am grateful for the time I have had on the county commission, and I think we've made a big difference.
Gentlemen, we appreciate your presence. First of all, thanks to our panel, to Brandon Shields from the Jackson Post and Sarah Best from the Jackson Sun, and our appreciation to A.J. Massey, Sam Bryant, Andy Hall for making themselves available for this. We, according to the Madison County Election Commission website, have 61,894 registered voters in this county. And that's got the capacity to change anything, I would think, gentlemen, right? We encourage you to vote. We appreciate you being with us for this special edition of a forum for Madison County Mayor Republican primary, May 5th.
Madison County Mayoral Candidates Forum, brought to you by E+ Broadband and Jackson Energy Authority.